A long way from Junee, Brian, the big stage of rugby league. And I'm pleased to say this man here who has conquered all joins us on the Run Home with Joel and Fletch. L. Daley, welcome to the Run Home with Joel and Fletch.
Great to be on your award high-rating radio afternoon show, gentlemen. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And well done, Fletch, signing for another 3 years.
Good on you, Loz.
You come as a package with him?
Yeah.
You come as a package with him, Joey?
Well, Hutchie hasn't reached out to me yet, but we'll see how we go, Loz.
Now, Loz, before we get in this, I missed you because I'd get some random tips from Laurie and the horse racing caper, but it's all gone very quiet. What's happened?
I know, Fletch. I know, mate. I've been bad. I haven't sent any messages through, but that's probably a good thing because my tips haven't been great the last 6 months or so. But Joel's always got the tips.
Yeah.
He's the man. He does very, very well.
Did you back Barber on the weekend?
No, I didn't. Tell you what, Fletch, I didn't have a bet on Saturday, which was unusual. I went down to Canberra. I went down to watch the Dogs and... the Dogs and the Raiders play, and it was very funny. I sat next to Bradley Clyde during the game, and I said to him at half-time, I sort of whispered to him, I said, mate, I think we can win the comp.
Yeah.
And then at full-time,
mock.
You reckon we can make the finals?
How was he looking, Clydey? How was he looking?
He's looking fit.
Yeah.
He's looking extremely fit. And you know what he is? He's just a lovely fella and one of the guns, one of the greatest players to have ever played our game.
Yeah. Do you know what? We actually, from where we broadcast, Loz, we look out to the Brad Clyde studio, don't we, Brian?
We do.
And Brian's always trying to sneak a peek, trying to catch him out, and hasn't yet done so. So just tell him to keep the blinds down. Laurie, before we get on to what you're about to embark upon, which is New South Wales and Queensland, let's talk about your Raiders. I actually do think, and your old stablemate, Ricky Stewart, despite the loss, I actually do think they could make the grand final. Brian, do you concur?
I do concur.
Yeah.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
I have a bit of an interest in the green machine. So they look like wall beaters in that first half. Do you feel, Loz, that maybe that game up in Brisbane took a little bit out of them because they looked a little bit flat in the second half?
Yeah, well, they've been giving up leads, Fletch, and chasing down opposition sides, but it probably came back to haunt them a little bit on the weekend. The style of footy that they play, I really enjoy watching. They've got threats everywhere, and they've just got some good young outside backs. Now, obviously, the two centres on the weekend, they were showing up a couple of times, but, it won't be the first or last time that Stephen Crichton does that to someone. But no, I really enjoyed the way they're playing. Yes, the travel might have caught up with them last week, but it was a great atmosphere down there. 25,000 people, a lot of dog supporters made the trek down. But the fact that they were 20 points in front at half-time suggests to me they're a very, very good football team against a team who defend extremely well. But second half, they dropped the ball, and then in today's game, if there's enough time on the clock, regardless of how far you're behind, you're always a chance because the momentum swings so quickly these days.
All right, Loz, that's good talking about the NRL. Now it's time. This is no more Mr. Nice.
Right, put it on me, Fletch.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, let's go. Come on, Brian.
Now, Laurie, your squad. Just tell me at the moment. You don't have to tell me who's in it, but is your squad? Have you narrowed the numbers down to 20, 17, 30? What's going to be happening next Sunday?
Well, I'll tell you what's happening tonight, Fletch. We're having another meeting tonight. So the last couple of weeks, coaches, we all meet on a Monday.
Yep.
We discuss all different options in terms of where we think we're at. Well, I'll tell you. I think the most contentious ones for us is the makeup of the outside backs.
Yep.
5'8", and in the halves sort of combination, how that's going to look. And they're the two biggest decisions we're facing as it stands right now.
Yeah.
And if everyone's fit and healthy, that they will be the toughest decisions. So it's going to be tough to make those phone calls to some of those players and say, hey, look, you haven't made it.
Yep.
But that's the position we want to be in, and hopefully we are in that position.
Hey, Loz, he's writing stuff down on paper. When he starts doing that, you are in the gun. So what do you got, Brian?
So I'm just saying, just going on the halves. Is the halves just the three-way between...
The halves is a no-brainer, Brian.
Between Moses...
It's a no-brainer.
Hang on, Moses. I'm talking to the coach.
Okay.
Not you.
Well, he knows the answer, so it's a no-brainer.
What I'm trying to say, is it between those three, Cleary, Moses, Luai? Is that how you're?
Oh, thanks,
Yes.
Scoop.
No.
Yes.
But what I've heard something else, but I don't want to put.
But what have you heard else?
Well, you tell me what you've heard, Fletch.
Outside of that, come on.
Okay. What about TEDESCO?
What in the halves?
No.
At 5'8".
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not telling him because I don't want to rule it. I'm a Blues man. I don't want to unleash anything that's not that hasn't already been discussed. TEDESCO or Edwards? Who is it? Even Stevens at the moment, or because what Dylan did last year, has he got his nose in front?
So you're asking him about the bloke who he gave a debut to, Brian. He saw TEDESCO before everyone else. Okay. This guy, TEDESCO, who, by the way, was runner-up by one last year in the Dally M's and has not set a foot wrong. Anyway, sorry, Coach. What have you got to say?
No. Well, I think Teddy's playing great football, and I think he deserves to be in the conversation. Teddy played Origin 1 last year, and then Dylan obviously came in for Game 2 and 3, and New South Wales won, so it was always going to be difficult to oust him back out once he played well in Game 2. But no, Teddy's playing good football. It's a decision that we have been throwing around, but Dylan's done nothing wrong, and he is the incumbent, being a part of the last 4 grand final wins from Penrith. So he hasn't done anything wrong. But I think that it's a good position for us to be in if when we're sitting down at that selection table next week. So we just got to wait and see who's available, and then sort of start to pen the names in the book.
Laurie, for those who don't know, who'll be sitting at said table?
Well, I've just been using all my coaches, so It'll be Craig.
Yep.
And obviously we'll lean heavily on him. There's Matty King. There is Dean Young.
Yep.
Dino's with the Dragons. Obviously, Matty's with the Roosters. You've got Boyd Cordner as well, and also Brett White.
Winners.com, Brian. Winners.com. Can I ask you this, Loz? And it hasn't been raised, but if everything was on the line for me, I'd certainly consider it. If the great James TEDESCO is not to win the fullback position, and there is not necessarily a dearth of experience on the wing position, is there an option for him to play there? I just know that he won't let you down.
He's been trying to do
this. Well, he won't, Brian. He won't. If your life's on the line, I want him in the team. Thoughts, Coach?
Yeah. Thoughts? Not at this stage.
Yep.
No, I think we've got wingers that can do a good job, and obviously, Brian will come back on the weekend. 1 game under his belt. Not ideal that he doesn't get to play this weekend. I'm assuming Zach will be back this weekend. Again, only 1 game heading into an Origin contest. So we've got to work on whether we think both those players or maybe one of those players make the squad. You've got a guy like Jacob Carraz who's playing really good football from the Dogs, and he's got that wonderful combination with a guy like a Stevie Crichton. So. There's plenty to think about, but I would say, Joel, that Teddy is not in the discussion as a winger. But that's not to say if we didn't get injuries this weekend that he wouldn't be.
Sorry, Loz, he's writing more stuff down.
No, Lawrence, do you pick your front rowers or your forwards, your middle forwards, differently if Harry Grant is playing? Like if Harry Grant doesn't make it back and he has does that change your mind on the way you are going to pick your middle forwards, or it just goes the same same to plan whoever's playing 9?
Yeah, no, not so much on Harry, but well, I'll tell you this. So we're contemplating: do we go big or do we go smaller? Given the speed of an Origin contest and the speed of today's game.
Okay.
So
good tip,
you're
Laurie.
looking at do you go 4 middles or do you go just 3 middles or 2 middles and a couple of hybrids? And what I mean by hybrids, blokes who can play front row, back row.
Gotcha.
Brian, did he mention it?
Yeah. What about debutantes? Could we see a debutant wearing a blue jumper for Game 1?
Yeah, you could, but I'm very reluctant to pick a lot of them.
Yeah, why is that, Laurie? Because I heard you speak about this.
Fletch, look, you know what it's like up there. It's a different environment altogether. And if you haven't played big games, and if you're playing well at clubland, and just to get thrown into that, while it's, you talk about it just being another game and another venue, it's not. Origin up there is completely different to Origin games. And it may be because I was scarred by my first experience up there.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great one. And I know that when we played, we had a number of guys making their debut, and we all thought we were very good players, but we got found out that we needed to take that next step, and we didn't really know what was coming at us. You can talk about it, it's like you can talk about what's coming, but if you haven't experienced it before, it's a big challenge, and it can be it can be confronting, that's the only reason. I just think it'd be too hard to have too many young guys that have never experienced that Lang Park cauldron before.
So when you say big games, so does semi-finals count, or is it only like a grand final for you?
They're big games. They've played massive games before. Yep. You see how they go under a little bit of pressure. That's always handy. It's not the be-all and end-all, but if you have played in a grand final before, at least you've had that taste of big game experience, and the build-up, because the build-up to an Origin is completely different to a build-up to a normal club week. It's 3 grand finals in a row, and again, that's another thing. If you're a young guy or a number of young blokes, if they haven't experienced an Origin campaign or an Origin build-up before, it can be overwhelming, and you can play your game actually before you get there, and some young blokes on debut, they just don't handle it. But I'd be more inclined, if I was going to select a lot of young guys, doing it in Sydney or doing it in Perth or Melbourne or somewhere like that, rather than up in Queensland.
Yeah. Hey, Loz, we're pumped to see you take it on, and we really are, and the state's all behind you. I will say this. This text, there's many texts coming through, but Clayton from Bremer says, we'll make this the final question. He says, Loz, who's the captain? It has to be Yo. Any comment on that?
Is that a question, then a answer?
Yes.
Look, I think we've just got to wait and find out, Jolie, who's in the team, and then we pick a captain. Now, Jake did a terrific job last year, and speaking to a lot of guys, the impact that he had within the group, while he didn't get the minutes that he probably was looking for, the role that he played was really strong in being able to connect the players and driving the standard. So, hopefully, whoever we pick as captain leads the side and leads it with distinction, and the players rally behind them, and we get the result that we're after, because I know we're going to have a talented football team, but I also want a hard-working, effort-based team as well.
Hey, Loz, terrific work, and Brian had a ream of questions ready for you. And text.
Oh, come on, Fletch, you give me one more.
Hang on. No. The most common text that's come through is saying, "Are you outsourcing the blow-ups to Craig in the box?"
It was an experience. When I've been in the box with Craig, I shouldn't laugh, but you're like a little school kid in the principal's office, and you just stand there, and you don't want to say anything, and you just shut up, and and when he has a blow-up, you're just looking straight out the window. You don't move, you don't twitch, and you're just staring. You're just staring, and it's completely silent, and then when he sits down, I just felt so uncomfortable the first time I did it.
All right, Loz, we're going to let you go. But before you go, from one Canberra great centre to another Canberra great centre, this is from the great Tootsie Croker. Canberra tonight, race 3, number 5 in the trots.
There you go,
That's
Loz.
my gift to you, Loz. Yes. If you're not going to send one to me, I'm going to send one to you.
Good on you, Loz. We've got to go.
Love you, boys.
See you, Loz.
Oh, what a great man. The run home with Joel and Fletch.
You're still here? We'll see more on the Joel and Fletch socials, and catch us live on SEN Radio. Because if you don't, you're an A grade. But if you do, you're the absolute Mickey.